So it'd be really interesting to see how this one goes. The British have made some changes in terms of who sits where at this regatta. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how this goes.
And in lane 1 from New Zealand. Hello to those of you joining us from New Zealand. It will be very late at night there. Lane 2, Great Britain. Lane 3, Olympic champions, Australia. Great shot there of the boat holders. Lane 4, Romania. Lane 5, Ireland. And lane 6, Netherlands.
New Zealand, Great Britain.
So here we have the call over. Final moments,
Romania,
naming each crew.
Ireland.
Square the blades in the water, the Netherlands, they have, and we're ready. As I mentioned, I'm expecting to see that Australian 4 get away, want to get in charge, the Olympic champions with the Romanians beside them. The British we're riding with now, having a look there, they've changed the order again. Rebecca Shorten back in the stroke seat. It was a change to have Helen Glover trying in the stroke seat yesterday. They've gone back to the original order. As we're looking at this Irish crew, Ireland who got that historic medal at the Tokyo Olympics in this women's 4. Expect them to be right in the shake-up as well, but it's that Australian bow just creeping out in front.
Yeah, fast start here for the Aussies. There's a bit of an upset in Varese, I think, for the crew. USA winning the women's 4 at that second World Cup. Britain coming in second.
Yeah, certainly a bit of a surprise, and the United States team aren't here in Lucerne, but yeah, they showed up for that second World Cup in Varese. As we take a look at this crew from Australia, Lucy Stephan in the stroke seat. She rose so long, sliding right up. You can see that is a crew rowing at full length, getting maximum distance per stroke. Looking now with the Netherlands, who are tracking them in second.
And talk about two different styles of rowing between the Dutch and the Aussies. The Aussies super long, particularly through the front. The Dutch, though, they are big, tall women. They're really able just to sit up, be straight up and down the boat, so not much in terms of body length because they are tall athletes in that boat. But coming through, it is the Australians in the lead through the first 500. But look at those bow balls. They're locked together.
Well, that's a great first 500, isn't it, that the boats have got into it, but there's really nothing to choose between any of the field. The crew from Netherlands won the repechage yesterday. They're out here on this side lane. And the Romanians look like they've settled nicely into the pace there. You can see they're at 40, whether they're actually just pushing to try and make a move. And you see this, like you say, this Australian boat getting absolute full stretch there. The Netherlands tend to look there a little bit more relaxed. In the finish of the stroke, the Netherlands are just really loose and relaxed in their shoulders, as opposed to the Australians who you see are getting every inch out of the stroke, every centimetre out of burying those blades and holding them deep in the water.
So we're really starting to settle into this race now. The Aussies with a canvas, but coming through on the right-hand side with them are the British, and expect them to feature heavily. They've just come off a win at Henley Regatta last weekend. They won the silver medal at the European Championships. They were beaten by the Romanians. The Dutch still hanging on in there, but will that fast start cost them as we get into the middle section of this race?
Yeah, like you say, the Dutch got in there, but they are, well, they're there in that third medal position. As we're saying, that British crew will be pleased to be tracking with the Australians. The British had it all their own way last season, but we've had some change within the crew. Illness to Sam, or injury to Sam Redgrave. She's not competing here. So it's a slightly different lineup with Helen Glover coming in. Double Olympic champion from the pair, now rowing in the 3 seat of this 4. The Australians finding themselves probably where they're expected to be, which is trying to force their bow ball out in front, but not having it easy because this is a strong Romanian crew beside them, equally looking to get maximum length out of those strokes. Really seeing strong, long rowing.
And the Dutch now starting to fall off the pace. It's still these three boats in the centre of the course. Australia with the slightest of advantages over the Romanians. We saw there Madalena Perez in the bow seat of the Romanian crew. She took a look over her shoulder. They're the European champions. And now the Romanians are going to start to look dangerous here. They're the fastest moving boat on the course. They're hunting down the Australians who are responding.
They are hunting down the Australians. Lucy Stephan there in the stroke seat will be looking to hold the nerve, hold that length in this tough third quarter. This is where the coaches are closest. This is where the other rowers are closest. And then they get out to a slightly quieter part of the course before coming down to the grandstand for the last 350 or so.
And look at this move here from the Romanians. They're reeling the Aussies in. The British are challenging, but I think that the Australians and the Romanians have moved out on the British now.
Well, Rebecca Shorten in that bow stroke seat. She always looks pretty tall and relaxed and calm, but you know they're going to be working it hard. Helen Glover backing her up will be looking to dig deep and provide some of that force that she brings to the crew to get them back on terms. And the Netherlands still aren't out of it. They're going to be on the bottom of our picture. You won't necessarily see so much of them, but they're well and truly overlapping the British. The Irish not necessarily totally out of it, and up there at the top of the screen, the crew from New Zealand we haven't got to see much or speak much about.
Very tight field here in the women's four. Notable absentees, of course, the USA winners of the last World Cup. But this is definitely a turn up here from the Aussies. We know that at World Cup 2 they'd only just landed in Europe, so our crew's probably struggling a little bit, so we're really seeing them fire on all cylinders now. Here we get a look at them on screen. Lucy Stephan, Sarah Hawke, Katrina Werry and Georgia Patton.
Well, I'm interested in the Romanians. We've seen the Romanian crews really use rate well this morning in the morning sessions. Will they be able to find a sprint as it is? The Romanians, you can see, getting in they're getting more strokes in than the Australians. They're closing the gap. The stroke girl there will look down and see that stroke coach telling her how many strokes a minute she's doing, and that bow is now just in front of Australia.
Yeah, here goes Romania. They're stepping up. They're the fastest boat on course. They need to get that rate up if the Aussies are going to contend, because the Romanians, what a dangerous sprint. We've seen it from their crews all day. What a turn of speed the Romanians have.
Well, it's Emilia Perez in that stroke seat. She's the one who's pushed the rate up in that Romanian boat, backed up by our crew. 47 strokes a minute. Here they go, coming down to the line.
It's bow ball for bow ball. The Romanians just with the advantage. They're moving out to a canvas now as they come past us across the finish line. Romania taking the gold. Australia in second. Great Britain in third. The Dutch, early race leaders, in fourth. And coming across the line in fifth and sixth, a tight one between New Zealand, just ahead of Ireland.
Well, what a race that was from Romania. They used rate. They took more strokes all the way down the course, but they held their length. And, yeah, I mean, they really made it pay. As you said, European championship winners, and the Australians were pretty gutsy the way they took that out, the way they took it on. But you could just see there was no stopping those Romanians in that last 250.
This event's going to be so interesting at the World Championships. It's really tough to call. I think all of these crews, Romania, Britain, Australia, the US, who's not here, it's going to be a really open, it could be anyone's World Championship this year. Really exciting stuff.
Well, like you say, the Americans not here. The British still haven't quite got their combination workings. We saw them, they were so good last season. So, yeah, highly competitive racing in this women's four. Not surprising. Wonderful for us to be able to watch. And, yeah, just great bravery from that Australian crew. Sarah, you said they're going to head back to Australia now, and then they'll come back for the World Championships and look to make some more moves on.
Yeah, that's right. So the Aussie women heading home tonight. They've opted to go back to Australia in between now and the World Championships. So they'll fly out to Australia tonight. That'll put them home early on Tuesday morning, and then back to Europe around mid-August to come back for the World Championships. The Australian men will stay over in Europe doing some training, I think in Switzerland, and most of that block they'll spend at the European Training Centre. So we see there a shot of the Aussie women super aggressive into the back end of the stroke. Yeah,
like we said, really finishing those strokes off, really getting, great technique, great burying those spoons right through to the back of the stroke. But it was, the Romanian crew just held their length and got more strokes in when it mattered. Lots of looks out of the boat, lots of motivation coming from outside, but it didn't matter at the end. Certainly in these lovely conditions, there was very little on the water in terms of waves and disturbance. So you see confirmation there, women's 4, Romania, Australia and Great Britain.
Two minutes.